Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. We cover a lot of ground, including Table A Talk with Gary Kent, Point of Order with the NSPS Joint Government Affairs Team, Future Focus, highlighting current and future leaders of the profession, and everything survey-related in between. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast, and hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Surveyor Says. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. My name is Tim Burch, and once again, this is another week. I say this week we're full of special guests. Well, every week special guests. Well, this week is definitely special because we've got our Trig-Star Committee, not necessarily in-house, they're at least in town for their annual summer meeting where we get together and discuss everything that's going on Trig-Star wise and even grading the national test. So we've got them here and thought, you know what? Let's sit down and talk about what's Trig-Star doing coming out of the pandemic. We're getting back into the schools. We're actually getting back up to speed on some things. So today we've got with us Chair Jerry Juarez and committee members Aaron Leach, John Chagnon, Mike Given, and last but not least, Sherry. You just said your name. Toutges. There we go. I always get it wrong because you always tell me how else to say it, and I'm not going to say it. So,
No problem.
Anyway, all right. So we've come out of the pandemic. We're still breathing. We're still alive. We didn't know if this was going to be on life support or not. So, Jerry, I'm going to start with you. How is Trig-Star in 2022? Are we alive and well?
I believe we are, especially after seeing some of the things that we got from Trish, the numbers that we have. We have a national exam that we're grading right now. I think we were about like 20 something that we thought we were going to have because of the pandemic. And we're at like 29 states actually participated in the national exam. So we're really surprised and very happy to see those numbers up that high 1 year, after not being able to do this last year and the year before, or actually just the year before. But anyway, everybody's coming through the pandemic and we're doing well. I think that we've got some exciting things coming up. We're doing some different things, talking about some different things that hopefully will help the program in the future. So it's kind of hard to really talk about those in depth because we're still working those things out, but we do have our winners, and unfortunately we're not going to say anything right now. We just want to make sure that to get the information to Trish so she can get them out there and they're all correct. But I think the committee has been doing a lot of work. Talking to everyone here that's here, which again in July, that's what we do. Is the biggest thing is to grade the national exam. But it's going really well, Tim.
All right. Well, and you talked about some enhancements, and we've had some time backing some things off with the lack of participation through the pandemic. Some of these enhancements we're talking about going to an electronic test. Aaron, I know you've been very, very involved in helping bring that to life. Tell us a little bit about what's it taking to evolve from a paper test into the realm of digital?
Well, it's been a big step. We have the two exams. We have the local exam and we have a national exam. It was easier for us to do the local exam online because with the national exam, with the securities need to be in place. The proctoring and monitoring, make sure that there is no cheating going on during the exam. We contracted a company called ExamSoft to handle the national exam. Our local exam is done by ClassMarker, which is just it's an online testing quiz kind of thing for teachers to use for students. We've just adapted it into Trig-Star. Same thing with the ExamSoft. They mostly do testing for like nurses and lawyers, things like that. So they usually have multiple choice questions or fill in the blank questions. So it was a little different. We had to cater it to our test. So this year was supposed to be our pilot year of releasing that national test online. It was very in-depth for us to create the test in their format. So we didn't actually get to give that test to a student this year, but we are set and ready for it for next year.
All right, very good. Well, and I guess, can you elaborate a little bit some of the security that has to go into this? Because I don't know that people truly understand, maybe if you've taken a national exam, whether it's, through NCSS, some of the securities and things that go on. I mean, what are some of those processes and procedures that, obviously it's trying to keep from stealing tests and cheating? I mean, it's unfortunately in this day and age that's real.
Yeah, the what they have in place, it's a browser lockdown. So once they have downloaded the platform onto their computer and they begin that test, they can't do anything else on that computer but that test. So they can't go to a YouTube web page and have somebody explain to them how to do that problem. But the other securities are just the same as if you had a proctor in the room. Making sure that the calculator meets our calculator policy, that the student isn't communicating with someone else. There's no one else in the room coaching the student. So it's basically the same proctoring happens online as would with a live in-person test.
Well, very good. Well, I guess coming out of all this, I'm going to look to you, John, for really, you've been around for a while with Trig-Star. We're evolving. I guess, in your opinion, how have things evolved, and what do you see is how's this going to keep evolving for the modern test taker?
I think the whole online testing thing was the reaction to the fact that the pandemic hit and the schools were shut down. So the Trig-Star program was able to adapt and develop these models. It's not to say that that's the model of the future. It may or may not be. It's a good thing to have in the toolbox, but if there's another pandemic or related type of event, we're going to be much more adept and ready to react and keep the program moving along.
And I guess that's the other part is our profession's involvement in this. I guess trying to keep it as seamless as possible for one of our professionals to go in and talk about Trig-Star and teach and explain the process, and not have going from a paper test to something electronic being completely different and really kind of throwing the kids off, throwing the teachers off, I guess would be the big thing. So is it kept it somewhat in a seamless fashion, would you say?
The test itself hasn't changed. The format of the test has always been the same, whether it's paper or online. But there is going to be a bit of a learning curve for the students and the teachers to go from paper to online. But we have written instructions. Again, that was part of our challenge with the national test with this ExamSoft company. We have written instructions on how to download the platform onto the computer, what type of computers are supported or support that software. So there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve for the student and the teacher, but it's just something we're going to have to work through.
All right, very good.
Tim, I just wanted to say something about the Trig-Star program. We've talked a lot about the tests. And yeah, although that's a very, very important part of our program, I think that everybody needs to realize what really Trig-Star is. And it's certainly not something that a lot of people might think it is. What it is an awareness program. So, there's a lot of kids out there, and you would not believe how many do not know what we do or how it relates to all the other professions. And so, it's an awareness thing to let students know that it's a great, career. Colleges offer it, but it's a really good program to let students, teachers, everybody know about the profession of land surveying. So that's really important to say. just remember that.
Yeah, this test with its monetary
Oh,
awards
sure,
is just
sure.
our foot in the door.
Yeah, we want to tell people what
Our
we're
main
doing.
purpose is to educate folks about land surveying, especially the next generation.
If we want to, people, states are going to a 4-year degree in land surveying, all the time. So, it's a challenge to try to get students to get into those programs because they don't know who we are. They're talking about who they want to become, back in junior high and, middle school and things like that. And, there's not very many people that say, I want to be a land surveyor when I grow up, until they know who we are and what we do and what we work with and how technical it is, and we get paid really well for what we do, and what a profession it is. And it's just a classy thing to do. And people don't know that. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to continue to do. And that's our number one charge.
Yeah, so the test also does recognize the best and the brightest at solving complex trigonometric mathematical problems. And, these individuals are destined to great things. They're not all going to be surveyors, but just a smattering of the information we gather here kind of shed some light. We ask them some questions. The participants that have won their state contest that compete for the title of National Trig-Star, we send them a questionnaire, and a couple of the responses, well, one of the questions is, have you ever thought about a career in surveying and mapping? And a lot of these responses are positive in that they think a heck of a lot more about it now that they've participated in this program, with some of them even considering the field.
Well, that is very important, and I'm glad you brought that up, because you're right. It is an awareness about what we are, who we are, what we do, and having this opportunity to get into into these classrooms in front of these students and explain some of these things. So I'm going to bring in our two newest members to the committee, Sherry and Mike. Because I know, Mike, you were talking earlier about you've had an opportunity to get into larger arenas through one of the colleges, and where several classes come in and participate in these things, these opportunities. Tell us a little bit more about that on a larger scale that you were able to participate in.
Sure, yeah. We had the opportunity to get in with Penn State Wilkes-Barre campus. We had 8 high schools come in, nearly 80 kids participate. So we made it into a day-long event. We had the exam at the beginning of the day, and then we also had campus tours. And we had the students that are currently in the program. They were up with the professor, showing the equipment and talking through what all the neat things we can do with the high-tech equipment. Actually did a scan of the crowd while we were there, and then brought that up on the screen, and the kids kind of got a laugh out of that. Just some kids leaning over with their hand on their head on their hand, like they were taking it easy, and people looking down at their phone or whatever. So it was pretty interesting. But yeah, it was a great day to be a surveyor, to be able to get to participate in that in a day-long event. Really exciting.
Well, very good. Sherry, can you explain a few of the situations, few of the opportunities you've had, being able to put on a Trig-Star presentation, and then the subsequent testing and follow-up with students in California?
Well, in California, it's very exciting to be able to be invited back again. That's how I consider it a success, is when the schools are asking you back. I know many people think it's really difficult to get into the schools, but if you're diligent enough and you show them the positive aspects of your visiting the school, teaching the kids more about careers, trying to connect the math that they're learning into the real world, which is very easy when it comes to trigonometry and when it comes to land surveying. And so at that point, once you get your foot into the school, it just, for me, unfortunately, it comes naturally to be able to talk to the students, to talk to the teachers, and let them know what the profession is. You don't have to be, I know the test is a big thing, and people say, well, we're looking for that person that has a strong math background. But as much as you do your surveying tasks at work, most of your strength is math actually is dependent upon the resources that you have, whether it's the calculator, whether it's the CAD programs, but it's understanding where that math comes into play, understanding that background, the knowledge to know whether it's a blunder or not. Students don't know that. They just think that you have to be able to calculate high levels of math. So it's kind of changing the stigma that, oh, you have to be a math whiz to be a land surveyor. But it also allows me to let them know all the great benefits that we enjoy day to day when it comes to land surveying. Working indoors, working outdoors, all the places we get to visit, being able to solve complex problems, history. If you're into history, we all love being able to walk in the footsteps of others. So it's a great way to introduce them to that. It's also a great way to share the technology that the students are using today. We're in a generation of gamers, and to connect the gaming to what we're doing on a daily basis, whether you're into scanning, whether you're into UAVs, it's awesome to bring that technology and show them that, hey, all that stuff that you see, we're already doing it. We've been doing it for years.
Well, that's all great stuff. I mean, I guess part of the questions I have is a little more just to open to all of you of where is this all going? And you've got a process here that's gone quite well for many years. We're making the push into some digital testing. What's the future of Trig-Star hold? Jerry, what do you think?
Well, I think that we're going to continue to do this program. It's working for the awareness part of it. I think that's going to just have to continue because we still need the numbers. We still need people to know who we are, especially young people. But there's a lot. One of the things that is really very concerning. It's looking around even this table. Sorry, everybody, but. The gray in the hair, and we're just an older generation that really love what we do, and we want to get involved, and we want to tell people what we think of our profession. And there's not a lot of young people coming in. It's so important that we do that. And I just have to say, if you're not a big fan of Trig-Star, do something else to make sure that you're doing something about replacing you, because it's an amazing profession, as you all know. But that's a really important thing. So that's part of what I talked and mentioned earlier about some new things that we're trying. So I think it's really exciting to start talking about what we can do as a group, as a Trig-Star group, and going into colleges and working with the professors and doing things like that we're planning to do now and planning to implement it very soon. So I really, really want you guys to stay tuned for that, because we're talking about some really cool stuff.
And like what Jerry just said, the Trig-Star Committee is going through the same thing that the surveying profession is. We're aging, and we need replacements. We need to recruit. So if anybody's listening out there who would like to join the Trig-Star Committee, contact Jerry.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we really do need some help too, because just the little committee that we are, we do a lot, and we certainly can use some help. And if you're younger and you really like what you're doing, and that's a great point, Aaron. If you want to help out, just let us know, man. We'd love to have you.
And on the opposite side, if you don't like Trig-Star, contact us and let us know what you don't like about us and how perhaps we can change the program that may benefit the land surveying community. Because, we don't have all the solutions. And to grow our profession, to grow, even within our own careers, we need to reach out. We need to gather those resources. And if you have a better way or any suggestions, we're open ears. And, come join us.
All right. Well, that's all great stuff. So I guess what would be some good characteristics for a future Trig-Star committee person to have? I mean, what should somebody that would want to volunteer for this committee? What do they need to bring to the table here?
Are they breathing?
Heart and
no.
drive,
Yeah, there's
love of your profession.
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of it. If we're doing this because we're giving back. I mean, that's the bottom line here. If you love what you do and you got into it and you're doing well and you're going to work every day excited and I'm sure there's some people out there in the survey community that aren't like that, but mostly that I know of, they are. So that's something that you really should think about doing, is giving back. Any way you want to give back, that'll help with the future generation. Right now, this Trig-Star is about the only thing that on a national level that there is to do that, to give back as an awareness tool, So, I mean, really, like Sherry said, if you have any ideas of how to make things better here at the Trig-Star level, or if you have something that you want to bring to the national level that maybe is totally different and totally off of Trig-Star, that's another thing that we'd love to help you to do that. I mean,
yeah, I've always said that to all the naysayers of Trig-Star, if you bring me a better idea, I'll be its greatest champion.
That's right. That's right. We hear that a lot. That people like, I don't want to say anything a lot negative, but there is some negative stuff out there. But they're not going to back it up with anything that they have. We want to hear what you have, everybody. It doesn't have to be with Trig-Star, so bring it to us. We'll help you put it out there.
Yeah, it's been kind of exciting for me to see the reaction on the kids' faces. When they first opened that book and started taking the test, it was just an exciting day all the way around. It was really rewarding for me.
Yeah, teachers too, man. I tell you, you might think that it'd be a challenge to get into schools and everything, and once you get into a school and you get a teacher and they get involved with Trig-Star, they want you back every year. I mean, really, it is that amazing for the curriculum of what they're doing. Those math teachers, trig teachers, they love it. And I had a teacher that was, she just recently retired, but she did Trig-Star for 15 years in a row, and where I'm from in Nevada. So it's pretty amazing that the feedback we get from teachers as well. So.
Yeah, I have one of my teachers who has worked Trig-Star into her curriculum, her normal curriculum. She teaches Trig-Star, basically. So her kids always do well because they've practiced it so much.
It's a real world application, so teachers love it.
And another thing, if you're interested in Trig-Star in any way or form, but you're afraid of trying to start a program or even to be a sponsor, reach out to us. We've got so many resources to share. We can walk you step by step in how it's done. We just need some volunteers to go out there and help. But if you want somebody to help you with just getting a program started, we've got those resources. Just let us know.
Well, then I guess I'm going to throw a little challenge out there because I think typically, at least where I'm from in Illinois, and the practitioners that were always involved in Illinois, like you said, Jerry, they were like the rest of us, a little graying, a little older, a little whatever. Isn't this? To me, I think this is a little more of a not a call out, but a challenge to the young surveyors, the ones that do know the technology, that do know what a good new technician and somebody working their way up to licensure, what they should expect, what they should study for, what they should go to college for, how to go about becoming that next generation of professional. So I guess is that safe to say that we really need to call out the young surveyors a little bit?
Absolutely.
I think that's a great word you use there, Tim. It's a generational thing, and right now we need the younger members of our profession to step up, because I'm dating myself, but I've been doing Trig-Star in the local high school since 1991, and I was able to get some young surveyors to come with me, and it really perked up the interest. I can say things about the profession and my love for the profession, but nothing speaks to the younger generation like the younger generation. So, then you asked a question earlier about why should they do it? Well, if they don't do it, then 20, 30 years from now, they're going to be moaning the fact that they didn't help get more people into the profession, because the profession is better off when there's more people in it.
One thing we haven't touched on, I guess, is beyond taking the test and beyond getting the kids involved. There are some things that the kids should look forward to after being involved in taking this test, and it's the Trig-Star Scholarship. So, Aaron, how about you? Can you give us a little bit more information on the Trig-Star Scholarship and really what's involved in basically qualifying to be able to get that?
Yeah, we give out a $5,000 scholarship every year, and the basic qualifications are you have to have gone through the Trig-Star program. You don't have to be a winner. You just have to have participated in the Trig-Star program.
Sometime during your high school career.
Sometime during high school, yes. And then the other one is that you are going to go to a school to become a land surveyor, taking a land surveying curriculum. And that's pretty much
Yeah, we'll give you money. There's plenty of it out there.
What we don't have are applicants. We need more applicants. We need a way to get this knowledge out there to the colleges, to the students, that there is a scholarship available if they qualify. And that's something we're struggling with right now, but that's, part of our charge here at this meeting is, first off, we did have one applicant this year. Unfortunately, that applicant did not qualify because she didn't go through Trig-Star.
But we'll make that into a positive because we do know that this particular applicant is working at a survey company, and this survey company can become a sponsor for Trig-Star. So again, looking forward into the future, that company being a Trig-Star sponsor in regards to going to local schools and promoting land surveying through the program, you now have a good group of students to offer the scholarship to.
And also, just in addition to this particular scholarship, the association supports people who matriculate into programs with all sorts of other scholarships at the state and national level.
Yeah, well said, John. Because that's one little pitch I'll also make from the NSPS perspective is that if there's ways that you as a company out there want to get involved, contact us. Let us know. Even if you don't have anyone on your staff that's willing to go and be a Trig-Star sponsor to go out and basically, be that evangelist for Trig-Star. There are ways you can support through sponsorships and other means. So please feel free to reach out to us. Well, I guess I'll open it up a little bit here as we wrap up. Anything on the Trig-Star Committee's minds that we want to talk about that we want to make sure and convey in this message, throwing it out into the ether?
We all want to say thank you to Tony Gregory for
Absolutely.
many years of dedicated service to the committee. He's one of our members who's moving on to some other. He's not retiring. He's moving on to another position, doing other volunteer work. But thank you, Tony. For
Thank
all
you,
your
Tony. You've been
time.
amazing. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll say that as well because Tony, we'll have to force you into listening to this podcast just so we make fun of you a little bit. Thank you and make fun of you a little bit.
Thanks for paying me to say that too.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for this week. I appreciate all the work that this committee does, not just these couple of days, but throughout the entire year, because this is a very important committee. This is a very important function of NSPS. So what we do here is good work, and so.
I do have one last thing to share. I want to thank Trish Milburn from NSPS. She is the heart of making sure to keep us accountable, making sure we do what we need to do to keep the program running, and reminds us when we do need some reminding. But she does help us out tremendously. So thank you, Trish.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trish.
Well, that doesn't go just for the Trig-Star Committee. That goes for all committees and even the office staff. Cracking that whip every day. So thank you, Trish. Well, that'll do it for this week. Once again, thanks to the Trig-Star Committee for all their hard work. And we do have some great more episodes coming up. So wherever you listen, please subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Tim.
You've been listening to the Surveyor Says podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, and we are here to help. Visit our website, nsps.us.com, to learn more about our association, the programs we administer and support, our sustaining members, and information about future episodes of Surveyor Says. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.